Well, I'm going to say good day, ladies and gentlemen. And being the person that I am, I've had the opportunity to sit back and kind of look through people and different kind of aspects and angles and what's the fair game on the table, for American citizens. And the points about all the talk in the FBI Administrator Patel, and what's going on with his direction and the questions that he was asked by some called opposing party. Okay. Now remember I said that word opposing. And his statements, kind of rang out a little bit, but the representatives there in the chamber had an opportunity to ask Mr. Patel, okay, you're head of the FBI. You're the top man in that branch right there. And there was a conversation on the table based on the budget and what it takes to run the FBI and maneuvers that it's being made to shave some cost off of the budget of the FBI, and it was kind of understood, it's understood, but only to a point. It means that Patel's direction in the FBI and what the President, his administration, advisors, and departments of justice and all this offices of office, it has to create all of these divisions between the American dream and moving forward, to cause the country. You have to understand what it takes to cause the country to move forward. And Patel, see, he's surrounded by advisors and stuff, and the notions and direction that the people of the country would actually like for this country to evolve into being a better place to be. That's part of our motto, is everybody wants to be in America, and the reasons why we don't seem to remind ourselves every day of what it takes to understand that. And I asked this question to a couple people, and several people. What does it take to be an American? It's not because of your birth. It has nothing to do with that. It has something to do with your beliefs. You got to believe in that flag. You got to believe in our system. If you don't believe in this system, then you're wasting your time. Because all of those people that gave up their lives in all of these battles that's happened inside our history, that says, hey, I think we understand what it's like to be free under that flag, So, in that statement, it was made that Patel had improvised in branches and local branches. But the fact of the matter is we have several thousand agents, and we have, we have just 3,000 counties and parishes and boroughs inside this country. That's enough to put 3 or 4 FBI agents and branches inside every county, parish, and borough inside this nation. That's enough to put several people in a position there. And the reason in thinking that, is to say that, if there's local lawlessness as far as people in higher profiles, you got mayors and commissioners, and you got people that sit on the councils and council members, and what people seem to forget is the high office of the country doesn't really directly show a direct connection with the people that it represents and works for. That has to be divided up through all these counties, parishes, and boroughs all across this country, all 3,000 counties. So, whenever the accusations of the corruptness that goes on inside taxpayers' funding and the where the money actually it comes from, it comes from up there at the printing press or keyboard. But it actually means that eventually it's going to get big enough to where they can't pay it back. It's just funding from public, us, the people, comes from our taxes and our local taxes. And the idea of the big government, the big government, it's not about the big government, because the big government moves inside of certain organizational beliefs that, men should wear dresses in public, or your kids should have exposure to adult material, and that's unsupervised. And whenever somebody makes an accusation at a free child of this country, of America, an American child, it doesn't really matter whose child that is. It's just to say, hey, are the parents going along with this? You see. So it's the parenting and the influences and stuff inside the certain social circles and networks of understandings. But eventually, it comes back to the parent. And I remember back in the magistrates of certain things had come to an agreement where they was just formally going to go, they was going to start charging the parent for the underage crime. To be able to say, hey, you reached out to who? Who did you reach out when you had these problems coming on or seen these problems persisting? And I've seen time after time, hours and hours and hours of these videos where you have people getting arrested, and their personalities and it associates itself with no background, believe it or not. I mean, you've got people that goes inside Walmart that have big exclusive houses and drive brand new cars to the Walmart store, and they'll happily steal merchandise from Walmart. The responsibility is in the parents to, something needs to be put in place so the parents can have help with all of this thinking. This is just way out of hand. It's just we shouldn't even allow juvenile to exist inside our country. And some people's going to say, "Hey, zombie, you're crazy." And I'm going to say, listen, whenever they're in that institution of whatever that is, and they're not free to be out inside the world as a child, the brunt of that responsibility is, like I told my pops, we are going to have to pay for this one way or the other way. Which way do we choose? Do we rinse this out of our country and get the stain off of our flag and put these things into these children? You've got kids that are under the age of 18 that's already being locked up inside this country for committing a murder, or being accessory to a murder, or car theft, or drug dealing, or one thing after another. But the real answers, and some of these guys that I've interviewed and had an opportunity to talk to, and this is all the way from a local county jail all the way up to a federal prison, and real people, and you see their personalities, and one of the personalities that I see is, a lot of the personalities are indeed American people with problems. And you look at them problems and you say, well, it's gotta get, I've gotta have, now kind of an attitude going on there, and their peers are the only thing that they're gaining anything from. I mean, if one of their peers down the street has some car that they like, they're going to figure out how this guy got it and what it took for him to have that car. It doesn't matter, good or bad, whatever it comes up to be, but they're going to do and be determined to have one of those, you see. And one of those and one of these, and the lack of understanding of how the system should really work is the reason why they're up there incarcerated. I can admit there is some people that are completely insane inside the system of America and the things that we fight and believe in, and the justice. So whenever an accusation is being made and proofs are on the table that they say, hey, we got this problem in this immigration. We'll just talk about immigration, So I go back and I study all these thousands of pages, not what somebody says on the internet, what the documents say. follow the money. Read the cash receipts for spending. Who this money gets spent on, what it gets spent on, and who decided to spend it. See, that's real simple math. It ain't about 20 million people inside this country without status. You have to examine all of both sides of that. You have to look at both sides of it, and you have to say, well, if I had a friend and they ran up on my front porch and just came through my front door, you try to figure out, hold on a minute, see, that's a standard issue training procedure. Hey, what I need you to do, stand there calmly, and I need you to explain why you just ran through my front door. Would you please do that for me? When they explain what it is and why they just ran through my door, that could change my whole outlook on whatever person this is. Then you have to say, well, you know, what is all of these folks with their children and what the hell are they fleeing from? See, if they're scared of something, or if they're fleeing for something, they want to come inside this country for certain protections, whatever. I get that. So, how to establish an American belief is to understand what the problem is. What is this problem? What do we need to do to solve this problem? So then, Patel was also asked another question directed at him from people, as to say, what is the influences on the FBI's work and stuff inside drug enforcements and stuff. And believe it or not, it seems to be a high casualty in the drug dealing business going on there. We're talking tons and tons and tons and tons. Okay. But only that the apprehension of certain drugs and stuff that are already present inside this country. Okay. It's sort of like a gallon of milk, if you want to look at it that way. It means that you can buy a fresh gallon of milk and you can put it in your refrigerator. You see. So whenever you take from the milk, the jug becomes with less milk in it. But eventually, if you don't drink this milk, it's going to spoil, or you're going to just simply run out. That's what's happening inside the circles of drugs and the influences of going on by the DEA and the FBI, is to simply eradicate the influx of illegal narcotics and substances known to be combined to create certain drugs and synthetic drugs. So to increase the assets of the FBI to answer the Democratic Party leader there, she was insinuating on how this should take place, and she needed to be advised on, was it going to require more money, and all of this other stuff was going on, and you know. But she didn't get any answer, and Patel had obviously said that he would try to make her understand that, but who knows? But to place agents inside every county, every parish, and every borough, in an office, right there, they're on the scene, you know. And I've heard people say, you know, that's why you have your Second Amendment, because the time between you and what's coming to save you could be minutes, and death or injury could be seconds away. That's an American, you know. And the way we got our Second Amendment is the willingness to deal with the systemic problems inside our society, to say, no, we're not going to go for guys in dresses in women's restrooms. Women wanted an equal right, so they were allowed to go into a ladies' restroom instead of a restroom. Preferably a white restroom, you know. The blacks, they had to use the black water fountain. They had to use the black bathroom. We've got past that. That's that little movement. But it's not to allow, let's just make up genders. I understand the administration's point on that exactly. You were born with one or the other, or you were born with both, which could be, you know, questionable. So then you've got people that's hunkering down inside their houses, and they're praying about certain things and understanding something, to say, hey, make me understand this. What is it going to take for me to understand this? And that's for me to say, you're just going to have to be honest with yourself. That's all. Whenever you look and you see that red, white, and blue Star-Spangled Banner, you salute that. And you believe in that. Society, we have the rest of this stuff examined and looked at and weighed up, and judges and juries and whatever. But the fact of the matter is whenever government has a weapon on it, it has a trigger. See, of course, the American government has a trigger. You see, you get some people just got to step past that. It's called the armed forces. It's called the biggest civilian army on this planet. That's why we got our Second Amendment. See, we're the old porcupine with, you know, carbon steel spikes sticking out of us, and don't make us use them. But to deal with these issues with people and crime and criminals, and, you know, most of my conversations was with some of the people that I've seen incarcerated over a career, and their answers to that was that they would like to, they know that they've been responsible for whatever they did or whatever they was accused of, but the fact of the matter is the need for being a part of a certain outside world, you know, to be able to get up, go down the block, go outside the prison, inside a fence or so, and be able to have a job, just a job, some kind of a life to where they can have coffee or their little needs, and then this healthy society, listen, you know, the removal of certain, you know, things. Here's what you did to a person. You took him and you put him in a place, and you don't allow him to leave, or her. You don't allow him to leave. So that's good enough. It's called freedom from the rest of society. That doesn't make them any less human. You have to understand humans. Humans could be bad. They can be awful. They can be, you know. My story's true. I mean, I pulled 2-day-old, 1-day-old puppies out of a dumpster that some heinous person throws that life away, and that's not what we want inside our country and under our flag. We don't allow life to be thrown away. Matter of fact, we've made it a rule. Suicide is against the law. You got a problem? Bring it to somebody. Sort of like I was saying about the parent. But the people that's deciding what the decision should be done and all of that other stuff to these people, what should be done to these people, hold on a minute. I know that you don't try to brainwash a person into being the person that they're not, because that's not going to work. You just try to figure out a way to teach them who they are. To teach them who they are. Not to take away any of their rights. They're still under this flag, as you and I. They have to be in a protected environment where they cannot leave. Same thing goes for these people that comes inside this country without any status. Whenever you hear accusations being made and proofs being made of the financial supports that it takes to be put in place to endure on the shoulders of Uncle Sam has to shoulder it. That's us people. It's all of our money and all the directions of money and the cash flow and support going into these people's hands that have no status. People that's never made themselves known to be even coming into this country until after they were apprehended. You see, they got caught sneaking around. You snuck in, you got caught sneaking around, so let's have a conversation. Who the fuck are you? That's pretty much how we roll in America. You explain to me why you just came in my house. I'm willing to listen. But when your reasons for being inside America are not adequate, then you need to leave. Why? Because the rest of the whole 100% of the people, divided or not all 100% of them allow this kind of behavior from anybody inside their house. Nobody wants anybody to come inside their house and be supported with food and clothing and work and money and lifestyle. Has nothing to do with it. The lifestyle that was there now is being occupied by a person that's not even of legal status to even be here in the house. So it's the cost of, it's to pay for it either way. That's the rules. You pay for it either way. Either it comes out of the economy and the taxpayers have to endure more people to employ in certain industries, and Americans that were born inside this country with right to work or refuse to work, or there's work shortages in some of the blue collar work You know, it's shortages. It doesn't matter if you hand a guy a paycheck on Friday, he spends it on alcohol and drugs all weekend. If he shows back up for the job on Monday morning, leave him the fuck alone. It's his life. He earns it. But when a person comes to a point where they're simply incapable of earning a living, see, and then a lot of these people, they're high steppers, you know, they forget about other people and they include themselves in all their conversations. You know, they do never and will refuse to put themselves in anybody else's situation inside this country. They're just willing to pay for it. Either way, you're going to pay more at the gas pump, you're going to pay more at the grocery store, you're going to pay more for this, you're going to pay more for that. Why? Why should we do that? But let's see, because we have millions of people more inside the country, our economies and our infrastructures and everything had to endure. You know, there's more people inside this country than it takes to fill up the whole state of New York. Just empty everybody out of New York, say, get out. You got enough people inside this country, illegal status, to be able to occupy that whole city. Every hotel room, every house, apartment, everything. See? And the electricity and the water and all the money, the taxpayers' money being collected. See? So, it's not a question of where you respect the other people for being here. You can respect them. Lest they disrespect you inside your own country, under your own flag. Somebody who's not even legally right to be here insults you. Or whenever they, you know, and I don't reveal a lot of things, but to be inside these neighborhoods and to be inside these cultures and to be able to get that view, you know, it's like some poor son of a bitch has got to, if somebody wants to know what the inside of that volcano looks like, they got to send in a drone. But you know, there's always that one person and they got to send up there, and it's somebody in a suit, and they're just kind of just getting up there as close as they can and hope the thing don't collapse in, and they look down inside of it. The perspective is on anybody, I suppose, on the state of minds and everything inside the country. Is just kind of like, you know, the filter in all of our children has just simply been removed, and then the parents are receiving all these arguments from their children, teenage children, whoever they are. They're receiving all these arguments about, I want one of those. Somebody I know's got one of these and I would like to have one. Can I get one? And some parents think, well, you know, you can have one of them when you get old enough to go get you a job and have one of your own, or you come up with something. Meanwhile, we got to stick with what we got till life gets better. Conversation, you know. But when the American people's lives simply cannot get better based on the banks and the finances and the debts and the mortgages and the financial butchering of some big market, you know, and then you place millions upon millions of people in neighborhoods, and you say, well, they're doing blue collar jobs. And then you ask these people and try to get some kind of understanding on the table, and you say, well, hold on a minute now. We're talking about blue-collar people doing blue-collar jobs, right? Who's doing the work? You know, Governor DeSantis in Florida has already had this conversation. I listened to the briefing and stuff. It may have made on all his statements, but the fact of the matter is then you do a comparison with local incarcerations, court dates by local people, and then you do a survey on that, and you say, survey says most of the people being traffic stopped and arrested or convicted or ticketed or citation or something involved was somebody that was adequate of a blue-collar job. You know, it's somebody, I've got them in my neighborhood, somebody says, hey, I'm going to drink, I'm going to do drugs, and I'm going to pay for this little place over here where I live, and I'm going to cut grass, I'm going to rake leaves, I'm going to do whatever I can. It throws those people down to another level where the lower class working Americans inside this country, see, they get left out. They're the people that they show up at the bar and they have some beers. They might get pulled over and get a DUI. But somehow they wind up saying, hey man, I just got out of jail on DUI. And you say, all right, I've heard these people. I said, well, everybody behaving themselves, and they always say, yeah, man, I'm sure glad I'm out of there. But I can't be driving. I'll be like, all right. And then that comes out of their mouth, and they say, hey, you gonna come by here and pick me up? It's on your way. And I say, yeah, I can pick you up. And make sure that they get the job and make sure that they get a paycheck in their pocket that week. They can spend their money, like I said, on whatever they want to spend it on. That's being free American. But when it cripples and the building industries, you know, we've got people of non-status of an American crawling, and people can say, oh, we need to, come on. They're crawling completely all over everybody's back like insects in every community, in every job position, and everything that's being done is being done by somebody who's not even supposed to be here. They just jumped the line, essentially. But they put these other people out here in this country, the poor working class people, they put those people completely, totally in jeopardy. And we pay for it either way. We have social services in place for the poor people inside this country to receive health care and benefits on them and their children and their spouse, and offer up some assistance to these people, Americans. But whenever the public assistance accounts and monies and spendings and stuff go into these accounts to help honest people that's American, that was born here, the kids was born here, you know, they believe they should be protected. And I'm saying, yeah, they should be. The non-status people that's inside the country, it's been formally said to them, hey, look, just go get the app on your phone, fill out the information on the app, and we're going to assist you, you see. That's what we do. We're going to assist you to get back where your country of origin, or we'll give you an option to go other places. But meanwhile, you can't be here. We have, inside our economy, we have only so much food on the table to support people from other countries. The money has to be allocated to support the blue-collar, poor working class people inside this country, and we got to give those guys a hand. We got to get them up out of these tents. You guys know who you are. We got to get them up out of these tents. We got to get them off the streets. You know, the fact of the matter is every single time, my opinion, every single time 100 people leave the United States on an airplane bound for their country of origin, then 100 people should be helped off the streets, helped up on their feet. That's what we do. Anybody's ever seen that famous statue that they made where the men won that hill in battle? They held up that flag on top of that peak. And every soldier's heart on the way up that hill was to make it, to win, you know. But they didn't come back down that mountain and leave their soldiers just laying there for dead. Just leave them. Y'all go ahead and leave them there. We ain't got time for this shit. We got to get down this hill and celebrate this moment. Leave them up here. Let them die. No. Leave no man behind. Especially an American. Your brother, your sister. So, the golden rule inside this country, based on my beliefs as an American, you can believe whatever the fuck you want to believe. Buried in your religions, buried in your racial ethnic, you know. You can be however you want to be. That's our motto. My rights don't take away yours. Yours don't take away mine. As long as we don't got no physical problems, you're welcome to go about your way. But we've left, and people have stated this and spoke this out so many times. You know, I've heard these stories from people who drank too much and they wound up living on the street or homeless, or their parents kicked them out, or something going on with them. You know, they got drug friends, they got people that want to get them addicted because they're addicted, and you got all kinds of angles there. But the fact of the matter is this exists. It exists. It exists. It's real, you know. People, they praise that moment whenever they can, but they don't live that moment of an American. You don't live that American dream. You don't live that life because you refuse to. You're blinded. You took some kind of stupid pill, maybe. The understanding of the layman's terms of society has to be done from society. Wherever the dungeons lead you, then that's where you got to go stick your nose into. I do that. I do that frequently. But the direction of the country It hurts when it changes directions. I'll say that much. It really hurts people. The poor people from another country. And you say, well, it's okay for you to take up for these people. Why? Because they're not living inside your house, are they? Did you give them an extra bedroom in your house or something going on there? Is that what it is? You got a family of illegal people living in your house or something? You're not telling? You're just sticking up for them? I think I beg to differ. I think to say that we have millions and millions of people inside this country because they simply walked inside. But we only have hundreds of thousands of people out here on the streets compared to millions that's being funded by charitable organizations and church institutions and religious foundations and funding that was being approved through the government to somebody who ain't even supposed to be here as a citizen. They just came in. We have no funding. Seriously. We have absolutely no funding to say go down here and get this fucker off the street. Get him, get his girlfriend, and get some people down there and get these fucking people off the fucking streets, please. But they're drug addicts, they're drunks, they're blah, blah, blah. Look, get them off the streets. Put them in a hotel and give them some money. Figure out what they need. What is these people needing to better their fucking lives? Well, don't tell me what's kicked them down in their fucking life. I don't want to hear what's kicked them down in their fucking life. I want to hear what the fuck it takes to get that fucking person off that fucking street. And you're going to hear everybody, oh, let's pray. Let's fucking go suck a fucking dick. You're not an American. You're a piece of shit. If this is something that you're willing to live with inside our free fucking country. You're a piece of shit. You allow millions of people to flow inside this country, billions and billions of dollars in funding behind people that is not even supposed to be here. We could just turn a cold collar and say, hey, look, settle your issues in your own damn country because we've got issues going inside this country if anybody hasn't been paying any fucking attention. They think some podcaster, somebody, the smartest motherfucker they know, they think that person's going to have the answer for it. And it's all going to be okay as long as they watch that goddamn video. That's what it's based on. The mindset is on those streets. The garbage, the trashy, despicable fucking whatever it is on those fucking streets. You want to live in a fucking house where your whole goddamn yard's just full of trash cans and trash bags and every fucking thing else, and you can manage to get out your fucking driveway and get on down the fucking street that it shouldn't be nobody's fucking business, right? Pathetic. Nobody says you have to live in a clean house. You like to live in shit, so be it. But none of the rest of us are willing to, you see. This needs to be, and it's painful, I get it for a lot of people, it's very painful to say, hey, where does these problems come from? These educational institutions, the academics, and what goes on with all of these things, you know, it's all about what a person personally, their person, you know. These grown ass fucking people, they're out here inside the society and they're in fear because they feel threatened. Oh, we feel threatened. We feel threatened. What's threatening? Okay. People inside this country under our laws of Constitution have the protection to feel what? Unthreatened. When the citizens of this country feel threatened, as they are, see, and everybody says, oh, where does this come from? And I was, look, sometimes you just simply got to read the whole paragraphs, word for word, understand them, and quit listening to some bullshit artist about what they don't know, because they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Go out here and see life. Be willing to be brave enough to go in your vehicle, roll your windows down, examine the neighborhoods, the lower class, ghettos, whatever. Name it. I've been there. I've been to the worst ghettos in India in my career. But the fact of the matter is that's not how we roll inside this country. It's the land of the free, if you didn't forget that. That don't mean free. You can just take from everybody else that you want to because it's free. And this class of individuals that's catching heat, why you on food stamps, if I may be asked? And they say, well, I have a hard time. Hell, I can't even keep it down. I can't get no job. I can't find work. And the work that I find, hell, I have to use that for my transportation and keep a roof over me and my wife's and my kids' head. You don't hate that person for saying, hey, here's some stuff that you can go to the grocery store and feed your family and feed yourself with, because that's what we do. I keep saying it. That's how we roll. We're not going to let a person just stand there and starve to death. We're not going to let them starve. Why? Because there's laws in this country, if I may say again, against suicide. And there's also laws against people that say, hey, let's just let them starve to death. The people who let these people starve to death, they're the ones that should feel deprived. And it gets this overwhelming thing going on inside society, and then it turns into thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and millions of people that are affected by these things. If you're part of a class of income and a part of a class of society, and it doesn't affect you only in certain ways, it affects you financially. It makes your rent cost more. You know, the person that owns the building's got to make some money too, right? But it goes all back together. It's sort of like the issues with Texas over there and the Fort Worth, Dallas areas, and the taxations and the property taxes and everything tied to it and all of that. But that's a whole different thing, but it exists. But the taxations and stuff that revolve around fundings and stuff that goes in here to help the American people, and it's sort of like whenever we opened up the markets and stuff inside this country. We didn't open up the markets, we opened up the public housing for U.S. citizens, people. There's your apartment. That's all you get. You get an apartment, you get a food stamp card, you get a job. That way they can maintain their family unit, stay together as a family. Dad could get a job, and Mama could drive a bus. If you remember good times, you know. So whenever the notions are being produced on national television, and they say, hey, you know, in a way, this is what could happen to you if you wind up like JJ and his family living inside the projects. You got to be more like George Jefferson, you know, and I like the Jeffersons. That's one of my favorite all-time movies, shows, is to say that you can move up. There's a way inside this country for you to move up, even from the dirt poor. But you can't do it when millions and millions of people that's not supposed to be here are standing in the way, and they already jumped line. You know, they've jumped line. They've got insurance, they've got transportation, they've got shelter, they've got all of these things. Where's our people that were here? Where are they at? They're still here. See, they don't go away because other people come in the country. They just get kicked down the ladder a little bit. And when you get kicked off the ladder from where you're just cutting the grass 2 or 3 yards a week to be able to put food in your mouth and a roof over your head, and then there you go down to cutting 1 grass, 1 yard, pretty soon you're not even going to have any place to even store your damn lawnmower. Don't people see that? Let alone buy gas to go in it. You know, so the people in the blue collar working industries, they need to put their back into it. You see these fucking people sitting in your fucking jobs? Push them out. They're not supposed to be there. You give that fucking job to somebody that's an American. They are first. It doesn't matter. There ain't nothing against foreign labor. Really? What happens when it replaces all these jobs, though? Millions of jobs. So you have to understand that. Millions of jobs. And you hear this, both sides of this shit saying, hey, you know, it's about the industry, you know. So if Joe Bubba Penshaw worked down there at the fucking hog slaughtering plant, and he don't do nothing but live out there in that damn old trailer on that property and drink, and he goes to work and kills hogs all day for a living. Does it 3 nights a week, you see. Then he don't got a job, you see. The people that's offering up employment to these people, where are they at in all this? Where are these people? I'll tell you where they're at. They go to, yeah, I'll try to send some in a description, but where they're at, they're in your subdivision, building your houses and your apartments. You know, that's where they're at. Counties and parishes all over this country's already been doing illegal, alien roundups in all these subdivisions and cities. And then you got these people pushing back saying, hey, they shouldn't do this, they shouldn't do this, we need these people, we need these people. Hold on a minute. You need those fucking people down there in them trailer parks that are Americans that live here that need a goddamn job. That's who you need. And you want to tell one of these, I'm going to say it, white lily motherfuckers to shut the fucking pie hole, because they have no comprehension of what the fuck they talking about. I had a conversation with somebody, and I heard a conversation last night about people that were simply amazed by people who could do sheetrock, plaster, drywall work. They was just amazed with these people. Well, who the fuck you think does that fucking work? The people that's out here on the edge used to be able to do that work. They used to be able to build these houses, keep this concrete poured, build these houses, build this industry. They're out of a job. Just like I had a conversation with somebody not so long ago the other night about AI and how the robots and the robot farm up in Michigan put thousands and thousands and thousands of people out of work. What do? How does the economy, how does the working class people say, damn, Larry got laid off, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to find some extra money, and I'll try to find Larry something to do a couple of days so I can give him some money so he can survive. See, that's what we do because we're Americans. We protect our own like lions, you see. The fact of the matter is in all of this argument, the question came up to where Patel was being asked, was this some kind of move to defund law enforcement? Now, I'll give you both sides of that. Both sides of it. I'll give you his answer to that. His proposal is to increase the root branch offices of personnel inside every parish and county and borough inside this country to put our people, we pay them. I know what you mean. Oh, no, they work for us. They're our guys. Don't forget that. These are our people. Put them, embed them into our local societies to where they're here. Bring them out of the office and put them into the field. Not to, and the question was asked, and this is a real good one. Did Mr. Patel presently have fired any FBI personnel? And his answer was no. Now, what's going on with that question? Then the question came at him again was, do you plans made to fire or terminate 1,300 FBI personnel members? You follow the money. Very simple. Who's demanding more money to support the agents involved and the personnel involved, 37,000 or so, employed by the FBI inside our country? And the FBI, by the way, those people, they're employed by us. Us. We give them that job. But a certain organizations and parties on certain sides of the aisles and stuff persist to think that they should have an office centrally located and only have so many agents in the field. But they need more money. What you need more money for? You can facilitate the 37,000 FBI agents that you have inside this country as it is. Patel's argument was the money is sufficient, but the allocations of money and where it should go and what it should be spent. How should the FBI grow its forces in people and training and put them in place in the branch sectors of our country? How are we going to get us some more people out here in society to protect us from these heinous criminals? In his ass, did he have that? And he had stated that they had made a formal budget review of the FBI spending and the allocations and everything that was involved in it, keeping it functioning, running an organization, and maybe looking to open up a 10,000 acre or 10,000 acre, or 1,000 acres, I'm sorry, 1,000 acres of government property to make a training facility. As the population grows, more enforcement has to be involved. Whenever more enforcement is involved, then you have to understand what's the enforcement involved in. What is their leading goals of under investigation? What's happening? What's the plan? How do you plan on using FBI agents? Do you plan on having them to spy on politicians? Do you have them plan on writing books? They can write a book. So anyways, we'll see what comes out of that. We'll see what comes out of this. It's inevitable change inside the FBI organization, and a lot of people say, hey, you know, I hear this out of people, they say, oh, fuck the police. Yeah, fuck them. You know what I mean? Yeah, right. Do you want to go down there to the corner on a fucking terrorist-known corner of a store down in Somalia at 2 a.m. to get your kid a gallon of milk? Do you? Go right ahead. I'm not willing to accept that. I'm going to put a soldier on post in that neighborhood, multiple, and I won't allow that to interrupt our free citizens and our free rights and our free right to travel and not be fucking robbed, harassed, or molested in anything that we may encounter. We don't want it. We don't want the encounter. I mean, sometimes, but the fact of the matter is who wants to live in that society? Go find a country and go move to that country and have it inside your society until you figure out how to run that shit. Meanwhile, you're not going to run this shit, you see. We've got associations of terrorist organizations of gangsters and gang associations inside this country, and then we got people bucking on that one. You're sending innocent people out of this country. Innocent of what? They broke all our fucking rules when they came across our border without asking. So what else can we say? Now what are they involved in? Oh, I'm sorry. Gang affiliations from abroad. The streets are not safe because of all these reasons. All of this crime, all of this fucking, let's roll the dice, let's put drug dealers in charge, let's just fuck it. They can rape our daughters, murder our fucking sons, they can do as they please. Fuck it. Not on my shift. I can see working class Americans inside this country that have been lowered in living standards. It's had their financial ruin. I can see it. I can stand on that one side of that aisle and I can say, hey, you know, they just drunks and they're drug heads. That's who live out there on the streets. And you ask them, say, hey, Hot Rod, where'd they get the drugs from? See, where'd they get the drugs? I've been on the streets of New Orleans on foot and had opportunity to meet some of the people under the overpasses and had conversations with them, and the people, I'm sure they have problems, you know. Somehow in their personalities, they have problems in their lives and what went on. But where do they get the drugs from? Come on. They make these drugs themselves. They induce themselves with these drugs while they're living homeless under a bridge or in a tent, right? That's what they do, right? They not only like the product, but they own the product themselves, right? Go in the bathroom, look yourself in the mirror. If you think that, and just slap yourself across the face. That's what you deserve. So the crackdown on all the supply chain, supply chain inside this country is getting pummeled by law enforcement. You know, I've witnessed this on the highways over here. Somebody stops. They got 10 pounds of marijuana inside their car. So who are you? Well, you American? Yeah, you American. Where'd you get this from? Can't say. The fact of the matter is smoking a little bit of marijuana inside this country ain't never caused anybody to OD. It's essentially a non-lethal cannabis. Non-lethal. Whenever you combine chemicals into a tablet or inject that into a human body and everything else, it has consequences. Same as drinking too much by alcohol poisoning. That's why we have laws around alcohol. Not anybody, just you want to set yourself up under the free country. Go out here and sit at the bar and have yourself a damn beer, have one. But have one. And an hour later, you can have another one. And then an hour later, you can go get in your fucking car and go to fucking home. Whatever. Be late for work. Who gives a shit at that point? It comes with responsibilities. Who's responsible for all of these fentanyl addicts and all these heroin addicts and heavy drug users, addicts inside this country? Who's responsible for that? You know, we are. There's no room left on the table to complain anymore. You know, like they say, shit or get off the pot, because somebody else needs to go. It's all about, you try to point people's faces towards the flag, you know, and say, hey, that's what that stands for. All these things I'm talking about, that's what that fucking flag stands for. I mean, you can sit on your fucking ass, you can come up with your own hypothesis or goddamn PhD fucking guess, whatever the fuck you think. Or you can understand it. The fact of the matter is it's affecting everybody. There's this argument going all the way up from the homeless through the EBT, SNAPS programs, the medical coverage, all of it, all the way. Nobody wants to hear about your fucking debt. If you went out here and bought a goddamn house or a car and you thought you was going to have enough fucking money and somebody says kabuki theater on your ass and now you got to come up with more fucking money and more hours and more work, then blame your fucking self. Meanwhile, you can live in that goddamn nice house and that nice car and you can complain about how much you fucking owe and how much it's fucking costing you. Who cares? Your debt's your debt. Our dead soldiers are our debt. The soldiers that put their fucking asses on the fucking line, our people way back when, and says, hey, we're just gonna fucking die or fucking, we're gonna live free or fucking die our sorry asses right here. I hope it goes quick and painless. But I'm gonna stand here. That's what we do. That's what Americans do. All of the reasons why people complain about the things that they have and the things that they owe and their financial fucking goddamn problems or perspectives or whatever, that's all on you. That's on you. You can choose your house, you can choose your car. Nobody else is going to choose that. You can even choose all that debt you're going to use to pay for it. You can fight to maintain that lifestyle, but you can't fight for freedom. That's what I say. You can run your mouth about how much money you owe on your houses and how much your credit cards are costing you and how much your mortgage and everything and life and little pennies fucking daycare and all this other shit. You can complain. As to what's causing it, you got no answers. I'm going to say his name. Mr. Rogan uttered these words, and I heard this on live out of his mouth. Says he doesn't have any solution to this homeless problem. You know, come on. I know he can't understand it in full because it's not been presented to him in the correct manner. Face the dragon. Whenever these people that seems to think that they can't understand this problem and where it comes from, then they should see it for themselves. Up personal. Close and personal. I have. I don't like it a bit. But my argument's on the table to say, hey, what's the solution for this? And my solution would be to just say, hey, let's get these fucking people off the street. Let's go. Enough about your 2 fucking bedroom. Enough about your 3 fucking bedroom house and you're paying the fucking interest and fucking banking and suck my fucking, you know what? I don't care. You chose to live in that house. It's like I said, do you have a family of illegal immigrants living in your back room back there? You're not telling nobody. Because you damn sure didn't go down here and find somebody and say, hey, come on, get in the damn car. I'm gonna put some food in your house, in your mouth. I'm gonna put a roof over your fucking head, and I'm gonna give you a fucking job. I'm gonna get you on your fucking feet. I'm gonna do this. See, that's that will and determination. That's the will of a soldier. Leave no man behind. You're gonna live, and you're gonna live through this. That's the belief we have under our freedom. Those of you out there and you experience this video and you understand who you are and what your perspectives are, I get it. You have all right to. But people just don't understand they don't have both rights. You see, both rights. I can say yes or I can say no. About what? Our flag? No, you can't. See, there's a no for you. Go fuck yourself. You can say yes to this and yes to that, but you can't say yes to your fucking brother and your fucking sisters inside this country. Go fuck yourself with that one too. You can go inside a fucking place and you can work your miserable little fucking job and your miserable little fucking life and you can complain about all your miserable fucking debt and your fucking kids and your fucking wife and your fucking everything is just financially fucking hurting you. Go ahead. The reasons is why. You don't bring yourself to any kind of reasonable answer. You just want to live your life, and that's all. You want to eat your cheeseburger. But you can't reserve the right to complain about other people. When it's all on the table is the complaints that you have. Your complaints, your single most complaints, and that's the only thing that's important as your complaints. And nobody else, go fuck everybody else. It's your complaint. My complaint. My complaint. It's selfish like a child. You're not willing to go out here inside the society, in the flesh, in the person, in something. Put your body into it. Your cell phones, your little accounts, your fucking, none of that shit's gonna do it. Nothing. You're gonna have to put your ass in the trenches. One way or the other, it's gonna cost either way. These people that are inside this country, working inside these stores, working inside these construction sites, working on everything, and all these people handing these people money and paychecks every week, they know who they are. They need to push them out. Push them out. Give them an opportunity. Here's your opportunity. We have a law. Remember this. This says you are not to be unlawfully employed inside this country. With an illegal status, you're not to be employed. Who's giving the job? Who's giving them the money? How do they make this money? Where does this money come from? Might be my guess it'd be the same people that's complaining about the president and the notions. Who's going to cut the grass? Yeah, right. Who's going to cut the grass? You think it's, you think, and it's sort of a sixth sense, the way to look at it. If you think you're living in high society, you got a high society house and high society car, and you pull your car up in the driveway, and you have Hispanic people that comes over and cuts your grass and works in your garden and fixes things, and you can call this person and they're going to bring these people over here and they're going to fix all these things as a status. See, that's the butler, the housekeeper, you know. They're there. I see them. I go on streets everywhere. I see a lot of things up close and personal. I see Hispanic ladies. I can go out and find several of them today that's got their cars parked inside the subdivisions with their cleaning supply inside their trunk. They don't speak a word of English, and they'll go inside the house and clean up somebody's house inside, and then, of course, the house and the homeowners have chance to complain. I don't like the way the towels are folded. I didn't like the way they cut the grass. That status, that self. And yet it wrecks society under this flag. It's against the law. They don't face the facts. And then somebody's always jumping on a different thing. What about all these obese people? You shut up. You can be as fat as you want to inside this country if you're an American. Be fat as you want. We're going to actually pay somebody to come down there and tear your whole fucking wall down just to get you out that motherfucker, to get you somewhere where you could probably fucking lose some weight. See, that's how we roll. The fact of the matter is it's also personal, and it's about a person's looks, it's about their background, it's this examination of everything, but it's not an examination of their self. They don't examine their self. Physician, heal thyself, they say. So then, maybe this conversation that I'm having, maybe it's just a rant, maybe it's just a vent, never know. I'm not trying to condemn anything anybody does. I like sports, I like hunting, I like all sorts of things. I like personal gear, personal protections, knowing how to make water, all this, great. And then there's people that say, hey, we should teach more people how to survive in case things go to shit. Hold on a minute. You shut the fuck up with that weak ass shit. You should get your ass out there and show somebody how to fucking survive out there on the fucking streets. And shut that fucking pie hole. Nobody gives their self to anybody. They give their self for free. They give their self away free. Their self, they're this, they're my, gotta have, gotta get, now, look at me. That's their attitude. And I'm extorting people for money because I have supporters. I got paywalls. I have exclusive videos for members only. Whatever, that's your hustle. That's all you got. You got all that to say. You ain't out there on the streets. You're not crawling under fucking bridges and in old abandoned houses and in some fucking buildings trying to talk to fucking people out there. Oh yeah, it's your second constitutional right to carry. Why can't you carry? Go out there and ask somebody what the fuck they need, what their problems are. Come to a fucking hypothesis on yourself. Get your view. Shut your fucking pie hole about how it is to survive. Go your ass out there and teach people how to survive. What they say? Talk that talk, but not walk that walk. And let's all go camping in the fucking woods. What an idea. And we're going to strategize. And we're going to make our connections with everybody that's got their pea shooters and their pew-pews. That's what we're going to do. And you might need a generator. You might need something to survive. Now shut up. Selfish, greedy fucking people. They're not doing anything about this. They're running, they're hiding, they're doing everything against a soldier's morals. If you're going to go out there on a battle and you're ready to be a soldier, sign this right here. But if I find out later that you got some kind of fucking yellow streak running up your fucking back spine, that you want to go run off in the goddamn woods and hide under a goddamn rock, son, this ain't the fucking place for you. I'm sorry. Be a fucking American. Stand up for what you fucking believe in all day long. I believe that. But don't stand on top of other people to stand up for what you think. Your personal beliefs. I can wipe my ass with your personal beliefs. Some people weigh their credentials. Oh, I used to do this. Oh, I was in this. Oh, I did this. Oh, I did that. Shut up. You do nothing. You tell people what you did, but you do nothing. You're a soldier. I'm a soldier. I'm a vet. Yeah, I heard that. The fact of the matter is nothing inside of what anybody tried to explain to you for the rest of your fucking life and your GI status. You swore an oath to the United States of Constitution and all the laws and the people that are protected under it. To protect the citizens, see, to protect the citizens of this country under this flag from an enemy, both foreign and domestic. That's what you did. You swore an oath. Now, I see these people come to me now, and they got no spine. They want to go get a job. They want to drive a little car. They want to camp in the woods. They want to talk and run that fucking pie hole. But they don't do anything else. They go to work, they pay their bills, they get their phone, and they complain, and they talk about things that they experienced, not what they're experiencing. Let me hear what you do at your job all day long. What do you do? No, I can't say. I can't. Well, they don't allow no phones inside the vehicles where I work. Well, that, this, blah, 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 blah. Shut up. Your fantasy behind your fucking camera means nothing behind this goddamn free world out here in the real world. You can make any life you want standing behind that camera. You can draw drawings on the wall. You can put up artwork. I can hang some guns back here behind me and some camo and some survival hardware and some books and run my motor mouth about things, but that's not who I am. I get in my fucking vehicle just about every fucking day. And I go out here and I fucking see what I can. I'm only here to help. That's my attitude. I'm just there to help, ma'am. There's shit blowing up around you. I got to get you out of here. You see. I just want to help you. Be on your way. You figured out a way to come inside this fucking country. I'm just trying to figure out why you're here. And I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get you back home. See, I'm only here to help. I'm an American. That's my motto. It is totally unreasonable that our evolution of becoming free Americans under the flag inside this country, what it took to accomplish all these things, be sacrificed by a bunch of fucking moronic ideas about self. If that was the case, we would all be living in Britain right now, or who knows, we'd be under a different rule, wouldn't we? Well, maybe that's some words that, maybe it's a rant. Like I said, it's just a rant. You work every day. Every day. When you take on responsibilities of putting accusations out there and how you're going to help this person, how you're going to do this, how you're going to do that. Didn't do it. With all respect, do it. But whenever you've got people associated with down on their luck, they're trying to get through something. What's causing it? Come on. I like the people. What's causing it, and where are they getting it from? Should we go as far as saying, okay, everybody that's suffering from alcoholism and drug abuse, you're going to get a screening. You're going to get a PP test every day. You see. You been drinking? No, I ain't been drinking. Yeah, you been drinking. This is what happens to you. We're not going to take away your cigarettes. We're not going to take away your freedom. We're not going to take away all that. We're just going to take you away from the alcohol. How about that? You're forbidden from buying alcohol. What? Oh, Lord. Could you imagine? No, we still got alcohol for all the responsible people. We're not trying to do a probation. We're just trying to do a probation. It says, hey, look, you keep winding up in this same situation. You keep winding up in this same situation. And you keep winding up in the same situation. So what the fuck is the fucking... What can I do to help? Do you need a fucking roof? Do you need some fucking food? Do you need some fucking transportation to get to some fucking employment? What the fuck can I do for you, sir, ma'am? The accusation of fucking making alcohol illegal to people that's been goddamn deemed an alcoholic should be fucking known. You're barred. See, that's what they do in the bar. See, hey, you know, you're barred. Don't come back in here. See? It's easy. But some son of a bitch in some store, some fucking where, is going to go hand that stupid motherfucker something to fucking drink, and before you know it, they're going to fucking fuck it up for themselves and hopefully nobody else. And we call ourselves Americans by not standing in the way of that. Pfft, give me a fucking break. We've handcuffed society. We've handcuffed our people. It's not a government thing to solve. They only have jurisdiction over what should be ruled. As to the people, we make that decision. Excuse me. That's the Constitution. Anything outside the Constitution has to include we the people. To be able to remove certain systemic problems inside our society that's causing our kids to be murdered, raped, abused, our young people selling their asses on the fucking street. That whenever you see somebody doing that, you better understand that's somebody's child out there, or used to be. That's the society in which you tolerate. For whatever reasons, I have no answers for that. I just don't. I don't tolerate people that put innocent animals in a dumpster and just throw life away. So maybe this gets across some of you guys and girls. I don't know. It's not based on a reality of religion. That's the Constitution. It's the first one. I don't give a fuck what you do, who you worship, and how you hail your fucking whatever. The fact of the matter is there's other rules that make America America, not just that one. You can believe whatever you want to believe, okay, but we still going along with this flag and all the rules that made this country America, ain't we? Some of us even swore an oath to, remember? So, at the end of the day, hope it didn't take up anybody's time. Didn't mean to. Sitting here talking to myself, I guess. But there were some questions asked, and I kind of told somebody, I promised somebody that I would eventually start putting some information videos out based on certain things. Bonnie. So anyways, didn't mean to dox you, Bonnie. But we'll get that going pretty soon. But until then, Zombie Force out.